Hello and welcome. I see my spotlight isn't on. Dana, would you do me a huge favor and plug that in right there, the orange thing? I'm awfully yellow on the screen. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Important things first. We got to look good for meditation. Thanks, Chris. Yeah. This is the theme of my talk tonight. It's like nothing happens without the help of other people. I got somebody closing the door. I got somebody plugging in the lights. Welcome, everybody. So glad you're here live and virtually. Let's sit for a bit of time. So allow the base of your body to get nice and heavy, rooted, anchored to the earth. However that feels for you, whatever that means, whatever you are sitting on, touching, feeling, supporting you, let yourself go into that from the waist down. And then allow your upper body from the waist above to be buoyant, to feel light and free and expressive and expansive. And while the lower body is anchoring and the upper body is expanding and expressing, let your face be relaxed. So imagine that the scalp is just softening and dripping down over the top of your head, and your brow close them, it doesn't matter, just let them be soft. The jaw be loose. With the tongue gently, tip of the tongue gently rest at the top of the palate. And then the lower teeth drop away. If it feels more relaxed, you can let the lower lip drop a little bit away from the upper lip, but continue to breathe through the nose. So the base of the body is anchored. The upper body is buoyant. The head and all its component parts relaxed. And then the breath fluid. You can consider all of the attendant thoughts and compulsions to do and to adjust and to quickly peek somewhere else or see a thought through or engage in a memory. All of those things are sideshows, distracting entertainments for the main event, which is just this moment, just these breaths. And our great work is to return again and again to the main event. Perhaps there's a sense of persistent distraction, of nagging thoughts that make themselves present over and over. And it's a worthwhile endeavor to be able to discern which ones are truly pressing, which ones really require our attention right this moment. If a fire alarm is going off in your space, let's get up and get out. Otherwise, let's see if we can abide these waves of sideshow in the mind and come back. Just this breath. Just this breath. Take another deep, slow breath in and let it all the way back out. And bring your awareness to your immediate surroundings and Scratch all those itches and shift around if you'd like to. So I was one of those kids who hated the group project. I don't want your input. I've got this. I don't want to have to depend on anybody. I don't want anybody to depend on me. I just want to do it myself. I was that way as a kid. I was that way grad school. I'm that way at work. Shh, don't tell anybody that I work with. That's actually not true. After being a student for all those years, I became a teacher. I became a classroom teacher. And suddenly, I got a couple of fellow teachers in the room who will be able to relate to this for sure. Suddenly, I saw the value in the group project. I saw the value in the multifaceted perspective. I saw the value in the pooled talent and the way it let each kid shine in the way that they could best shine. I saw the value in the shared burden and the camaraderie that could come, and the value in learning how to overcome the differences to get to something, to get to a yes. And in general, I think what I understood finally is that whatever it was I was teaching, it was more than the sum of its parts. It's the learning process. It's the digestion of it. It's the synthesis of it and the integration of it and the regeneration of it for more to share and understand and appreciate. And it's really hard to get to all that stuff in our siloed, silent, lonely corners. So if we think of ourselves as a subject matter, like our own lives as a story to be told, or a problem to be solved, an equation to be sorted out, or an experiment to be conducted, then we know that it takes a group to work this project through, that is our humble, vulnerable lives. And so the group who's working on this project of us is our family, our friends, could be a team of health and wellness providers, the series of teachers that we've had throughout our lives, our mentors, our coworkers, our neighbors, the local officials who manage the spaces in which we live and thrive, our pet dogs and cats. Everyone has a role to play in this project that is our life story. Nobody does this alone, and nothing gets done in a vacuum. You know, it means that the earth and the sky and the farmers who grow our food, all of that is conspiring in a group project to feed us. The factory workers and delivery people and the store clerks who get the food from the farm to the table, the government entities that supply and maintain the power to our homes so we can cook and store the food. Our entire lives are a ginormous group project. And this has been true for 12,000 years, since the agricultural revolution rooted us as human beings in one place, when we learned to plant a seed and harvest wheat and realized that we could stay in one place. But if we were going to stay in that one place, we had to do it with other people. We had to do it together. Our livelihoods became enmeshed in each other's livelihoods when this group project of staying alive got assigned. This could go in all kinds of directions. I'm going to keep it really simple and go right into our next period of sitting with a little mind experiment / assignment for us to play with, and that is a gratitude practice to the group who has helped conceive of and manage and tend to this project of us. And so you can, I'll describe it before we go into a period of silence, but the invitation here, if you'd like, is to bring to mind your key group members. And you can identify those in a period of time of early childhood or formative adolescence or young adulthood, or right now, wherever you are in that scheme. Identify the key lead group members. And you might imagine them receiving a wave of gratitude that's emanating from your own heart. And you can formulate this wave in whatever imagery makes sense to you. A color or a texture of water or glitter or a wind of gentle breeze, whatever it is, from your heart. Go with the first thing that comes to mind. That's always the best. First is best in these situations. And if your group grows into entities unknown to you, but for sure involved, then allow that to happen. But start close in. Start with the key known members and see where those waves of gratitude extend. And I'll leave you to it for a period of quiet. If at any point you notice you've gone astray from this project assignment, that's okay. Come back to it if it's meaningful and useful to you, and simply come back to your breath regardless. If the gratitude waves have gone off the rails, that's okay. That metaphor just went off the rails. Just come back to the moment at hand. And at some point you may feel that you've run out of group members. You can't name any additional key players, and let this turn into a fanciful wave of gratitude that finds strangers, that finds unknown entities, that finds nature and the earth itself and all the things to be grateful for that sustain our livelihoods. And the other piece that you can work with is to notice the sensations in the body when gratitude is present. Notice if you can detect any softening, any ungripping, any additional ease. Just another couple of minutes. The breath is always the safe place to return. To re-anchor a sense of the grounded lower body and the soft and buoyant upper body, relaxed head and face, and the fluid breath. You can let the project go and just sit here for awareness of breath and potential ease. Take 3 more breaths as you're here. And return to your immediate surroundings. Wiggle and stretch if you'd like. So, some of you know that here at our yoga studio, Sun and Moon, we used to hold mass gatherings with visiting teachers. We would have 50, 70, 80, 90, 100 people in a room practicing in close quarters with teachers who would fly here from all over the country, sometimes the world, to present weekend trainings. And we knew at the time that that there was value in that togetherness, and that part of our mission was that yoga was accessible to every body, every person, and every individual. We knew that it is a personal pursuit, a really born out of a place of quietude and individual need and individual expression, very unique to each person. And we also knew that this practice and this tradition positions us to face the trials of the world, positions us in a really good, solid, grounded place. We haven't had one of those events since the you-know-what. And 3 years later, we know a few more things. Maybe we already knew these things, but we know them even more profoundly now. We know that what we do for ourselves, we are doing for each other. When we put on a mask, we're protecting everybody from illness. When we meditate regularly, we are engendering kindness and patience and compassion in ourselves, but really, ultimately, it's so that we don't snap our family members' heads off, at least not as often as we might. we have, as a society in this country, woken up a little more alertly to the social inequities and to our ability to enact change, to address those things. If we didn't understand that before, these last few years have shown that to us in stark relief. We have woken up, more broadly speaking, to the truth that each one of our individual existences is emphatically intertwined with each other's. The saying "we're in this together" has never been more true. It was Martin Luther King Day this week. Yesterday was his actual birthday. No, Sunday was his actual birthday. Thank you, the 15th. His famous letter from a Birmingham jail was written in response to some religious leaders in the South who questioned why he was in Birmingham in the first place, and sort of were expressing some caution and some concern about these nonviolent protests. And so from his jail cell, he hand wrote the famous letter. And there's a very famous phrase that comes from that letter. I'll read you that short portion now. He said, I am cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That might ring a bell. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. This is a group project. Hindu mythology, to go back a couple thousand, possibly 3,000-4,000 years, gives us a similar analog, and this is the metaphor of Indra's net. So the Vedic king of the gods, Indra, is said to have cast a net over the entire universe, and at every warp and woof, every intersection of the material of that net, sits a bright, shining gemstone. And each gemstone requires its own special polishing that can only be done by one unique person. And we all have our gemstones. We all have our corner of this net to uphold this garment that holds the entirety of the universe together. And each individual polishing their own corner, their own intersection, their own gem in the vast array of this net is a group project, and it makes the whole world shine. And that's the idea of this emphatic interconnectivity that gets us through this life. We can disregard it and let it tear us apart if we're unwilling to participate in the group project. Or we can polish up our own gem and know and trust that everyone else is capable of doing the same. And the more we shine up our corner, the more everyone's corner shines. So for our last sitting period, you might conjure some sense of luminous presence inside, a gem that's sitting right here in your heart or in your belly, or perhaps somewhere in your forehead or brow, wherever you need it, wherever you feel it might shine the best, the most clear. And use your breath as that polishing agent and sit in that light. Notice that the distracting thoughts, the side shows, tend to dim the light. Invite your mind back into that place that shines brightest. It's hard to find sometimes. Sideshows can be stormy, but we know the sun is always there above the clouds. Just a couple more minutes, returning again and again to the breath and its luminous presence. And now simply release your chin toward your chest. Gather up your palms together in front of your heart. Allow the heart to feel lifted and open if that feels possible in this moment. And may the fruits of these practices be of merit for all who suffer. May each one of us find ease from that suffering and some sense of a path to happiness and potential for peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you.